The Surfer is a movie starring Nicolas Cage in which he plays a surfer. He's trying to buy back his childhood home and go surfing, and I think it takes place in Australia because everybody has an Australian accent but him. Anyways, he has problems because people keep outbidding him. It's a nice crib. Real estate's a hot commodity there, apparently. But he's going through a divorce, and his wife's pregnant with another man's child, and his son kind of thinks he's a loser. He's having a real bad time. Well, anyways, like I said, he's a surfer and he's trying to buy back his childhood home, and I think it's his childhood home because he said it used to belong to his dad. But the locals are like these psycho surfer Australian dudes who are the meatiest of meatheads. They just keep threatening to beat his ass in front of his kid and stuff. Everybody in the whole place is a little bit nutty. Even the pizza man's a dick to him. He's a real sympathetic character and you kind of want to give him a hug right off the bat. One night, these mean-ass little Aussie kids steal Nick Cage's surfboard off the top of his car, and they take it and give it as a gift to the leader of the surf hooligans. Well, that pisses Nick Cage right off. He goes down to the beach where they're having a party and he's like, I want my board now! You know, like Nick Cage. But they don't give it to him. And then some big asshole tries to beat him up, but he don't beat him up. Nick Cage beats him up. But then the leader dude's like, get the fuck out, so he does. But he called the cops, and the next morning this little greasy-haired cop comes along. The cop's like, this ain't your board, mate. This board's been hanging there for 7 summers. And Nick Cage is like, fuck these assholes, man. So Nick Cage is pissed, but he's still just fixated on getting that house and surfing on that beach. But he's having a shit time. The runts are vandalizing his car. He's got glass in his feet. Some douchebag throws coffee in his face. These Australians are something else. Plus his cell phone died and he can't get a hold of nobody and he's got to charge his phone. So some barista tells him that if he gives him his grandfather's watch, he'll let him charge his phone. In his little food truck he's got, Nick Cage walked away for 2 minutes and the guy closed up his shop, stole his watch and his phone. I would lose my shit, but that's why you don't leave stuff with baristas. These hooligans are perfect assholes, man. Their little gang is where toxic masculinity is born. They believe all men are soft and you just have to be an animal and suffer to exist in this world. And they just go around surfing and whooping ass and just being generally unpleasant humans. And Nick Cage is just this guy who wants to surf and buy back his daddy's house, man, you know? I cannot express how bad these hooligans suck. Dickhead is just not a strong enough word. They just want to make Nick Cage miserable the whole movie. And I love Nick Cage, so this movie kept me in a perpetual state of pissed off. This cop keeps popping in and out of the story. He's a dick too. Everybody in Australia is a dick in this movie. Not in real life, probably. I don't know. Never been. Sorry, Australia. This movie just gets weirder and weirder the more you watch it. All these people just keep making you think he's crazy. The rooster keeps telling him the watch belonged to his grandpa, and Nick Cage is like, no, it was my grandpa. Then Nick Cage is arguing with the cop, and the cop's trying to make him believe this old piece of junk car is his car, and Nick Cage is like, no, I drive a Lexus. The runt steal his wedding ring, and the leader of the hooligans tell him he was never married and he was always just a bum. He teases him with a cheeseburger, ate it right in front of him and loved it. Fucking pervert. Nick Cage thinks he's going nuts. He's beat up, he's bloody, and then you start thinking, is Nick Cage nuts? Am I nuts? What's going on? I am never going to Australia. He gets bit by a rat. There's a porcupine one day. Nick Cage has to drink from a puddle in a parking lot. There's so much going on. It's so stressful. He tries to eat a rat. A bird shits on him, and then he eats some eggs he finds in a nest for sustenance. And after all that, plus the insane Australian heat by the end of the movie, Nick Cage has gone full crazy. He just wants to buy his dad's house and go surfing. So it's a lot of that kind of stuff, and then in grand Nick fashion, he snaps. He pulls a wooden sign out of the ground and he goes down to the beach and he beats the mortal piss out of the biggest hooligan. And let me tell you, it feels so good as the observer. Then all of a sudden, these hooligans are like, gabba gabba, one of us, and they love him. Because the whole movie, their whole thing is like, people gotta suffer to be strong. Turns out that's what they've been doing to him the whole movie. Just beating the fuck out of Nick Cage and making him feel like he's going crazy. It's like this weird initiation into the community or something. The guy who he beat in the head with the sign was the bank manager. The whole town's run by these macho meatheads. And now they've accepted him into their fold and they have a big ayahuasca party on the beach. They dance around in slow motion and paint each other's faces. It looks like a real good time. And the best part is he gets to surf and he gets his house. Just kidding, first he's got to set a homeless guy's car on fire. You know, as part of the initiation. Nick and this homeless guy were talking to each other at the first of the movie when I was in the kitchen getting a snack. But what I think he was saying was that his son was a really good surfer until he ran off with these hooligan guys. And now he's missing. But I think he might have been dead. And Nick Cage feels so shitty about it. He don't want to destroy this homeless guy's car, but he's afraid these hooligans will start whipping his ass again. So he does it, and his son sees him do it. And these guys are just not Nick Cage's scene, really, you know? He just wants to surf and buy his dad's old house. But then the homeless guy comes back. He's been gone for a day or two for some reason. I forget, but he's pissed because his car's on fire and it's all he's got in the world. But also it's fine because he's got a revolver and some bullets laying around. So he runs down the hill where Nick Cage and his son and all the hooligans are, and he makes them all get on their knees execution style. Cause this homeless guy ain't got nothing else to live for. But earlier when he was telling Nick Cage about his son, he showed him this necklace that had a shark's tooth on it. I think it might have been an award or something for surfing, but I ain't sure. Anyways, Nick Cage is like, he must have been a really good surfer. But anyways, he grabbed it from the car earlier when the hooligans were trying to make him believe that that junkie car was his and not a Lexus. But Nick Cage grabbed it from the car earlier when the hooligans were trying to convince him that that junk car was his and not the Lexus. But anyway, Nick Cage gives the guy the necklace back and the homeless guy lets him go. So Nick Cage and his son finally gets to go surfing. They hop on their surfboards and they surf the hell out of there. But Nick Cage looks over his shoulder and he sees that homeless guy Cap, the leader of the hooligans, and once again it was so refreshing for the audience, you know. That guy was a piece of shit. And then the homeless guy caps himself because he's just kind of over it, you know. And then there's this dude lying dead in the water, and I think it's supposed to be either the homeless guy or maybe Nick Cage's dad. Because I think Nick Cage's dad offed himself too or something. Then there's a boy standing over top of him. And I think it might be Nick Cage when he's younger. And then a wave rolls over Nick Cage's head and the movie goes off. So they got a little bit artsy there at the end, but I never know what the hell's going on in the independent movie anyhow. I don't get metaphors a lot of the time.